Today, we will be discussing the nursing clinical response to weapons of terror, a tactical reference framework for high-stress mass casualty events, and responding as a nurse in the emergency department. Standard medical intuition is inverted during WMD events. The sequence starts with scene safety and hazard identification, moves through a strict decontamination corridor and PPE protocol, and only then reaches clinical treatment. Every scene is a crime scene, but preserving evidence is secondary only to responder safety and preventing secondary contamination. Blast physics dictate 4 predictable injury patterns. Primary, the pressure wave, damages air-filled organs, lungs, tympanic membranes, the GI tract. Secondary is shrapnel from pipe or fertilizer bombs. Tertiary is blunt force from being thrown against structures. Quaternary covers burns, crush injury, and exacerbation of chronic conditions. Secondary devices and structural collapse are primary scene hazards. Secure the footprint before triage. Blast lung is the hallmark injury. Hypoxia, edema, pulmonary hemorrhage, treated with oxygen, intubation prep, and prone left positioning to manage air emboli. Tympanic membrane rupture indicates blast severity. Watch abdominal and head trauma for internal bleeding and TBI. And remember special populations. Pregnant patients face placental abruption risk. Older adults face fracture risk, and mobility-impaired patients are vulnerable to secondary collapse. Biologic agents weaponize living organisms, categorized in 3 tiers. Category A carries the highest mortality and is easily disseminated. Anthrax, botulism, tularemia, plague, smallpox, viral hemorrhagic fevers. Category B carries moderate morbidity, brucellosis, Q fever. Category C covers emerging pathogens engineered for future dissemination, like hantavirus. These spread through aerosol, water, food, or contact, and identification often trails exposure by days due to incubation. Comparing anthrax and smallpox, anthrax spores survive decades, incubate up to 60 days, and show hemorrhagic mediastinitis on chest X-ray. It's not person to person, so standard precautions apply, and treatment is antibiotics within 24 hours plus 60-day prophylaxis. Smallpox survives 13 years in scabs, incubates 7 to 17 days, and presents with high fever followed by synchronous lesions spreading from face to trunk. It's highly contagious via droplets, requiring a negative pressure room, with post-exposure vaccination effective within 4 days. Chemical arsenals are categorized by volatility, persistence, and latency. Vesicants, leukocyte mustard agents, are highly persistent, causing blisters. Pulmonary agents, phosgene, chlorine, are volatile, causing choking. Nerve agents, serine, soman, taboon, VX, carry extreme toxicity. Blood agents, hydrogen cyanide, carry a distinct bitter almond odor. Vesicants and pulmonary agents cause catastrophic tissue necrosis. Vesicant exposure shows erythema and blisters, with effects delayed up to 24 hours. Decontaminate with copious soap and water only, never scrub or bleach. And manage with the leukocyte antidote dimercaprol. Pulmonary exposure destroys the alveolar capillary membrane, causing frothy sputum and severe edema. Evacuate to fresh air, monitor pulse oximetry, and manage with oxygen and aggressive airway support. Systemic agents demand immediate, specific antidotes. Nerve agents cause a cholinergic crisis, meiosis, drooling, bradycardia, seizures, respiratory failure, treated with atropine, pralidoxim, and diazepam, rinsing by blotting rather than wiping and avoiding plastic airways, which absorb the agent. Blood agents block cellular oxygen use, treated in sequence, amyl nitrate, then IV sodium nitrite, then IV sodium thiosulfate, or alternatively IV hydroxycobalamin. Responder safety against radiation relies on time, distance, and shielding. Alpha particles are stopped by clothing but dangerous if inhaled. Beta particles need light shielding and cause skin burns. Gamma rays penetrate deep tissue and require thick lead or concrete. Exposure is measured in rad and rem, using Geiger counters and dosimeters ranging from a dirty bomb-dispersing radiation to a full nuclear detonation. Acute radiation syndrome triggers above 100 rad total body exposure and moves through 4 phases. Prodromal, 48 to 72 hours, brings spikes in nausea and vomiting. Latent, up to 3 weeks, looks symptom-free even as lymphocytes and neutrophils plummet. Manifest illness brings massive infection and bleeding, with cerebral edema signaling irreversible injury. And the final phase is recovery or death, Remember, combined trauma can delay necessary surgery by 2 to 3 months. Radiation triage sorts patients into 3 survival categories. Probable survivors have mild, brief nausea that resolves quickly. Draw a CBC and discharge with follow-up. Possible survivors have nausea lasting over 24 to 48 hours with severe acidopenias. They need protective isolation and transfusions. Improbable survivors show over 800 rad exposure, bloody diarrhea, and rapid neurologic symptoms. Decontaminate for scene safety and shift to comfort care. The decontamination sequence restricts access to prevent system collapse. In the hot zone, evacuate and triage outside the hospital footprint in water-resistant PPE. In the decon corridor, remove clothing, irrigate wounds, shower with copious soap and water, and assess with radiation survey meters. Only in the cold zone, with air ducts sealed, does standard treatment begin, and only after the patient clears survey. Internal exposure requires specialized clearance. Incorporation risk, radioactive or chemical material depositing in bone, liver, or thyroid, is managed with gastric lavage and chelating agents to excrete the isotopes. And because every WMD event is a federal crime scene, forensic biologic sampling is mandatory after decon, nasal and throat swabs, sterile urine and feces, baseline CBCs, all under strict chain of custody. The emergency nursing doctrine rests on 4 pillars: uncompromising scene safety and secure the perimeter before care begins, strict decontamination, decon precedes every life-saving intervention, adaptive PPE integration, defend against volatility and radiation physics through environmental controls, and specialized triage and support and apply agent-specific protocols while supporting victims psychologically. Anchored to these protocols, the triage nurse becomes the critical linchpin between a mass terror event and community survival. To bring it all together, blast injury follows 4 mechanisms: pressure wave, shrapnel, blunt trauma, burns or crush, while high mortality threats center on fast-acting nerve agents and biologics like smallpox, and ARS moves through prodromal, latent, manifest, and recovery phases. Critical interventions rely on targeted antidotes: atropine for nerve agents, sodium thiosulfate for cyanide, and the decontamination priority never changes. Restrict access and decon outdoors before anyone enters the hospital. Triage then sorts patients into probable, possible, and improbable survivors by symptom timing and dose. That's the complete arc, from blast physics at the scene to survival categorization at the door.